Well, in the learning and memory, part 2, memory. Your memory is not taking the picture and you see the picture. Memory is a whole event. It's the storage, retentions, the whole events, and also including the procedure. And you found some people, they born with blind, or they could not hear, and they still have memory, they still dreams. People blind, when they dream, they just don't see picture, and they have language, they have the whole events. People, they're deaf, and they still have memory. So the memory is more than just a picture. It's a complex combination, and also your brain activity. You remember how you feel, you remember how you think during those events. So it's that both the inside and the outside combined together, that's memory. And memory can be divided into the implicit and explicit. General way to, simple way to distinguish them. Implicit is you could not explain it. You could not experience it, like you know how to ride a bicycle, that's this one. Explicit is you can use word to explain it, that's explicit. And remember I tell you the psychologists, they have ego, they have a big ego. They always want to use their way to define it. So they will say, okay, I don't like this way. I would say the memory can be put into the declarative memory and procedure memory. What's the difference? Actually very similar. And declarative memory is you can use a word to explain it. So it can be divided into two kinds, semantic and episodic. Episodic is the events of life story. Like I ask you, okay, what happens during the Memorial Day weekend from morning till the evening? And you can tell me, okay, when I wake up, what did I eat for breakfast, for the lunch, for the dinner, and what happens in the evening? I enjoy my life. Okay, that's episodic. Semantic. Principle of knowledge is I test you, okay, every test is I test you this, you remember, okay, from unit 2 you remember what's the nervous system, unit 3, unit 4, and that's this. And we also have procedural memory. Procedural memory, sometimes you found scientists call it the motor memory. It requires a lot of practicing, Like you learn how to play piano, you learn how to tie your shoes. This is not easy. You found you want to teach those toddlers how to tie their shoes. It takes a while because it requires a lot of delicate motor movement. You need to move your finger in the sequence. And also this kind of learning is required, you really need to be there to practice. So you could not just watch other people to tie your shoes, then you know how to tie your shoes. You need to practice a lot of times. Same for piano, learning how to play piano. You could not just sit there and watch other people play piano, and you won't get it unless you sit there and spend hours keep practicing. This is procedural memory. This memory, we won't spend too much time talk about it. I just show you there are so many different kind of memories. This one is called the sensory memory. Every time I ask you, okay, think about the steak, smells good, tastes good, all this in your sensory area. That's the sensory memory. And this picture shows you how the information flow in your brain. The information from the outside will go to your 5 senses. From your 5 senses, go to your short-term memory. And this part, actually your brain rule out some of them. Not all the information go to your brain and attract your attention. For example, you wear clothes, and turn out the only time you are aware you put your clothes on is when you put your clothes on. Then the whole day you pretty much ignore the information from your somatosensory. The clothes touch your skin. You took it for granted because your brain has something much more important to pay attention to. So not all information will become your short-term memory. Those the one your brain pay attention to, it become your short-term memory. And some textbooks say the short-term memory also called the working memory. And you found others say they're a little bit different. So you can say they are the same. Or the book I read, they say the working memory is all the memory you put on the stage. Okay, that's the short-term memory. But when the spotlight shine on it, it's called the working memory. Okay, that's the definition I read. Either one work. So all of this, eventually, if they want to turn into the long-term memory, it takes a while. repetition is the key. And this process in psychology is called consolidation. And in the brain area, this process is hippocampus required. In today's lecture, we'll talk about HM. He does not have hippocampus anymore, and he could not form this kind of memory. And memory is especially emotion-related memory. It lasts for a longer time. If I ask you, okay, think about your earliest memory when you were 3, that's probably the limit. And we do have people that can remember they are younger too. A lot of them are associated with emotion-related memory, like you fall off the bike or you break your arm, you remember it. So emotion is limbic system. And today we'll talk about this part. In the limbic system, you have brain area called amygdala, and is highly involved in the emotion-related memory, especially negative emotion. A reason this kind of memory lasts for longer is you need to learn, okay, avoid this kind of pain. If you get to go to this environment and you've been shocked, avoid this kind of environment, because this can decrease your chance to survive in this world. And that's the purpose of memory, because your brain, the eventually purpose of the brain is to increase your chance to survive in this world. For every species, it's the same. And also today we'll talk about amygdala, how this kind of memory being processed in your brain. So for the emotion-related memory, there's amygdala involved. And this kind of memory, it lasts for longer, but it's not guaranteed it's more accurate. So the accuracy can be affected. You remember more, but sometimes your brain adds something in. And we talk about this in the first lecture. It's called the false memory syndrome. And now you should have very good understanding of what's going on, right? The first time I show you these slides, you think, oh, okay, what's this? And now we learned the sensory system. We learned chapter 3, the nervous system, and you know what happens in the brain in the learning and memory. Because the learning and memory, really what happens in the brain is the synapse. It's the between neuron and neuron, their connections formed, and that's how you create the memory. Because of that, we can make your brain believe something happens, and when this happens in your brain, even though it never really happens outside, you believe this happened. That's the false memory syndrome. And we talk about these two examples, like you can create the false memory of your younger sibling, make them believe they got lost in the mall and they got so worried, so emotional related, even though they never happened. And once this becomes their memory, it's their memory. You can tell them this is actually an experiment, it never happened, but they don't believe you. 90% of them believe it's their memory. I explained this in the first lecture, and that's the false memory syndrome. And or even worse, like this lady, she forcefully convinced, think her dad sexually molested her, and actually put her dad into the jail. And then she found this a false memory, so she wrote this book to confess. And we can actually create a false memory in mice. So this video, if you are interested, this is a shorter version. This is about 15 minutes. They just, by putting electrode into the brain and using those fancy transgenic mice, and they are able to shine the light to turn on, turn off the neurons and create a false memory to associate the neutral smell with the dangerous environment in the mice. If you're interested, you can watch this. So we actually know more and more in the molecular level what happened in the brain and associate with memory. Okay, we can affect your memory. Your memory is not 100% accurate, like this experiment. The subject were asked to go to watch the video, and it's a car accident. And then they were asked to do a questionnaire. And in the questionnaire, they ask you, what's the speed of the car? And in the questionnaire, they use different words. They just manipulate one word. They ask you, okay, how do you estimate the speed of the cars when they hit? That's the first questionnaire. And the second one is they ask the different group. They use different words. Clyde smashed. So you found the group in the questionnaire. They just changed the verb, and turn out the group they face these questions. They tend to report the speed, average speed, higher compared with this one. So the attorney knows that, and they learned how to manipulate your memory by using those small words, even though you are unaware of that. So we could not 100% trust your memory. And there's another one, the similar test. They ask you in the video, okay, we have to watch the video, do you see any broken glasses? And they found in the questionnaire, it say the car smashed. They actually have more. And the answer is no, there's no broken glasses. And the one asked you, the car hit, they actually report less. So we can manipulate your memory. We could not 100% trust your memory. Okay, that's an interesting one. I like this. This tells you have, in your brain, you have a neuron associated with memory. Yes, we know that. And they call it grandma neuron. So in your brain, you have a neuron, and its job is to remember your grandma's face. And in that article, it's published in 2005, they claim they found a neuron called Jennifer Aniston's neuron. That neuron is job, the neuron in the brain, the job is response to Jennifer Aniston's face. And they really do the experiment in the infratemporal lobe of the cortex. And they put electrode in to measure the neuronal activity. They found the Jennifer Aniston's neuron. That's how they call it. So they shine the picture. They shine the picture of Jennifer Aniston, pretty intelligent woman. And they found, okay, when the picture is off, no response. And when they shine the Jennifer Aniston's picture, okay, the neurons start to fire like crazy, generate action potential. And when the picture is off, okay, it's off. And they found, well, it's really Jennifer Aniston. Let's switch to another picture. And they found, well, okay, well, before the picture is on, and a little bit response because neurons spontaneously fire, so they will have a little bit background response. Then when the picture is on, well, the neuron fire a lot, and then when the picture is off, okay, the neuron quiet down. And they say, okay, if it's Jennifer Aniston or any other person, so they show this picture. There's a picture when Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston were together, and maybe they go back together. Well, let's skip that. They show this picture. They found the neurons, well, they don't respond that much. They don't respond that much. And when they switch to the other actress picture, they found, well, the neurons say, no, it's not her. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't fire. So they call this neuron the Jennifer Aniston's neuron. It responds not just to the human's face, but very specifically to one person's face. And where is where is this cortical area? It's in the temporal lobe. So that's this area. Apparently, when we talk about the visual system, we say we have the where pathway, we have the what pathway. It's in the what pathway. Recognize the object in this area. They found the neuron. And in the paper discussion, they talk about the grandmother cell. They say, well, this applies to every human. In your brain, you have a cell, and this cell's function is to help you to recognize your grandmother. So they call it grandmother cell. Is that true? Well, we don't know. After they published this article, they do find this. They do find this. The experiment is true. But we do have a lot of psychologists say, okay, what happens if you kill this cell? Then you don't recognize your grandma. It's not really that simple, right? But these do create a big milestone in the learning and memory field, because it's now the brain is not just a black box. We do find the biological events happen in the brain, and we use this to explain the psychological process. Okay, let's take a short break.